1979, one of the, or let's say, the icon of the off-road cars came into the market. And the funny thing with that car is it was created and planned because the head of the Iran needs cars for his military who could drive off-road as well. We're talking about the G-Class. Now, 40 years after that launch, Mercedes completely built a brand new one. And this is the car we're driving today. When you have your first look at the new G-Class, the first thing you see, it's not so easy to say is this the new or the old version, because it still looks very similar than the predecessor. But I think the new one is a bit more soft and it looks a bit more modern as well. But there are loads of things that are going to remind you regarding to the old one. So have a look at the front. You find these very nicely round-shaped headlamps here. We do have these on the top mounted indicators, and we do have an on the top mounted bonnet as well. So that really looks a lot like the old one. Very important regarding to the size of the car. When you look from the front, something really has changed. One of the big changes, the car now is 64 millimeters wider than its predecessor. Regarding to the weight, very important, the bonnet as well as the wings, as well as the doors, are now made out of alloy. And that saves about 170 kilograms. And still, the car is now about 55% more stiff than the predecessor. But now let's have a closer look at the sight. The first thing that you're going to see here is the shape of the car is in principle exactly the same, but very important, it's 53 mil longer. But when you look here, you find, as with the front, loads of things that reminds you to the old G-Class. First thing is we have this very steep front window here. And what I really like with the car, we have these old-fashioned door handles with the knob, and we have, of course, these very old-fashioned door hinges. When you have a look here, our car, because we do have the AMG version, we do have, not only have the side pipes, we also have these 22-inch alloys here with the AMG brakes. We have a red brake here, and we have these very nice big discs as well. At the rear of the car, we do find a typical boxy G-Class. Again, of course, we find the typical door handle, and we have this flat rear window. And something you should not miss with a new G-Class is, of course, these extra wheel mounted on the rear door. One of the biggest advantages of the new G-Class compared to the predecessor is, aside of course, the space, the steering of the car, because that's completely different. The old one was like driving an old lorry, but this one here really feels like driving a standard vehicle on a standard road. When the G-Class hits the market for the first time, 1979, the smallest engine that Mercedes offers at that point only offers 75 horsepower, and this is nothing regarding to what we drive today, especially if you're talking about our G63 AMG. This car features the new V8 4-liter bi-turbo engine, and that offers in this car here 585 horsepower, 850 newton meters of maximum torque. But if you talk about the smaller version, which is the G500, that is not a lot less. It also offers 422 horsepower, 610 newton meters. I think that's more than enough. And both of the cars are featuring the 4-liter bi-turbo V8, and both of the cars are featuring a 9-speed automatic gearbox. And I'm quite sure the next engine we're going to see on the market will be a diesel. And not to get any scratches or dents onto our 22 lovely alloys at the AMG model while going off-road, we now change to the G500. So now we're taking our G500 off-road. Goes up that hill like a goat. So now we go downhill, and I mean downhill. From here I can't see anything at all, I only see landscape, but there is the monitor, and that one works with a camera at the front of the car, so I can really see my path.
The G-Class was continuously enhanced. and with the comprehensively revised 463 model series from April 1990, the G-Class received a quality interior, more comfortable suspension and also permanent instead of the previous engageable all-wheel drive. From day one, many G models were used in applications where reliability and superior off-road qualities are called for. From day one, many G models were used in applications where reliability and superior off-road qualities are called for, and on the other hand, the comfort was in the focus of the development of the G-Class. Since 1979, the Mercedes-Benz G-Class is the progenitor of all Mercedes-Benz SUVs. It is not only the passenger car model series with the longest production run in the history of Mercedes-Benz by far, but also the forefather of all SUVs to bear the three-pointed star. This is why all Mercedes-Benz off-road models feature the uppercase G in their name. Where there is a Mercedes-Benz G-Class, there's a way. That's clear since 1979, when the very first G-Class was introduced, combining best off-road capabilities with comfort and luxurious driving. At the time of its market launch, in spring of 1979, it was available with a choice of 4 variants covering a performance range from 72 to 156 horsepower. Customers had the option of a cabriolet with a short wheelbase or a station wagon model with short or long wheelbase. In 1989, the vehicles of the model series 463 marked the beginning of an evolutionary process for the off-roader that was not just about keeping pace with technical progress. It was an evolution that also brought a steadily expanding fan base and emphasized its character as an exclusive vehicle for any situation. In 1993, Mercedes-Benz introduced the very first 8-cylinder model to the range of the G-Class. It was the 500 GE that was limited to only 500 pieces. In 1999, at the 20th anniversary of the G-Class, the very first AMG model, the G55, was introduced to the market. In 1980, only 1 year after its premiere, the Mercedes-Benz G-Class was well known all over the world, because the special off-roader was used by the Pope. In 1983, the G-Class was used by Jackie X in the grueling Rally Paris-Dakar. Jackie X won that race with a special and improved 280 GE. Introduced in 1979, the Mercedes-Benz G-Class will celebrate its 40th anniversary in 2019. Therefore, it is already the passenger car model series with the longest production run in the history of Mercedes-Benz, by far a true legend.
Yes, now next to me is Gunnar Gutenke. He's, let's say, head of the G-Class. Gunnar, you say this really is a big step. You really build a completely new car. Now we have this wonderful model here. So can you explain something regarding to the suspension and to the frame? What happens here and what are the biggest highlights?
The major change that we have is that we now have an independent front suspension, which is new to the G-Class and which is offering more precise ride and handling on the road. But also if you ride it off-road, you will find it also helps there and is a positive element. So it's worth, first of all, taking a look underneath the car, because that's rather important when you go off-road. And if you look underneath the car, you see basically you can take a large shoebox and put it underneath. There's no single part sticking out, and that would be endangered that a potential rock would hit it. And you will also see that the knuckles of the independent front suspension are mounted directly to the frame at the highest possible position, leading up here to a very high position as well. So the domes really stick out of the frame. And here we have invested, so to say, in a special bar that is overall adding to torsional stiffness, which we have increased compared to the previous model by 55%.
With this model, you show 2 different types of a car, which is the G500, the dirty one, and you have the AMG version as well. What makes the difference between the two of them?
Well, there are several differences. If we start from the front, we do have adaptive damping. On the right-hand side, you see there's this additional oil reservoir on the damper. That is for every G63 a series component, and for the G500 we have regular dampers or optional similar adaptive damping, which is a great feature when you ride both on as well as off-road. Improvement that we have is our new direct steering. Okay. Every G-Class owner knows about today's performance, and everybody who will drive this car right at the first corner will see there's a huge improvement in terms of steering, precision, and feedback from the steering. When we then move further, of course, you will find the three differentials. They are all 100% lockable, like in the past, but with a different technology where we have taken care that we have even more robust solutions. There's a 9-gear transmission. It comes in two different variants. The standard 9-gear transmission for the G500 and an especially reinforced version for the AMG, which is offering lower shifting times.
What about the frame? Did you change anything regarding to the frame?
Well, it's a completely new frame. It's still a leather type frame because we think it's a backbone for the legendary reliability and robustness of the G-Class. It has been, as said before, reinforced to offer additional torsional stiffness as well as additional crash performance.
You as the head of the G-Class, there must be the one highlight for you, the one where you say, this is my personal topic. What is it?
Well, to me it is that we have managed to have a vehicle that's on the one hand side even better in off-road as we used to be with the known G-Class, and with the same setup, after being in an off-road track here, you drive onto the road, and there we have really reinvented on-road driving for the G-Class. And to have this broad spectrum in one car, that to me, even though it's compiled of many items to achieve it, but that's for me the one big achievement of this development.
So let's climb into the G-Class. There are two things inside of this car that really makes the difference. This is the first. That really sounds like closing the door of a Mercedes. A bit old-fashioned, but completely solid. And the other thing is something that really surprised me, let's say it that way, because when you start driving the car, it locks the doors automatically. And that is really special. Check it out. With these 585 horsepower, 850 newton meters of torque, if you push the pedal to the metal with that car, that really feels like being on a rocket, and when you lift off somebody on top. But this rocket weighs more than 2 tons. My absolutely highlight with the new G-Class is for sure the space here in the interior, because I do fit into that car now, which I didn't with the old one. This is how I sit in one of the old G-Wagons. This car here is from 1985, and I have to say comfort is completely different, and a problem is coming up when I try to get down to the pedals. That car grows in every dimension. We have here in the interior 10 centimeters regarding to the length, 12 regarding to the width, and I have 4 centimeters more in the height. And this is something I can really feel while sitting in the car. I sit very comfortable, and as you see, I do have really enough space above me, which I don't have in so many cars. But nevertheless, when I'm sitting at the front, still, even though the car has been grown a lot, behind me there's not plenty of space. But to be honest, with nearly 2 meters tall, there are not so many cars where you can sit comfortably behind me. Having a closer look into the interior design of the new G-Class, I really have to say that car is completely new. But on the other hand, you find some things here and there which really reminds you to the old one. For instance, we have these typical handle here for the passenger seat. We do have this upright display here at the front, which really reminds you to the old car. But on the other hand, that car really is completely new and modern. You have, as standard with a standard G-Class, a cockpit with round tubes, but I think everybody will order this new widescreen panel here, which features two 12.3-inch displays, which you already know from, let's say, the E-Class or other cars. And you find a lot of typical Mercedes stuff in here, like the cup holder in here, or the completely jog dial here, or for instance the seat control, which is in the door panel, as you know from all the other cars. So I think overall that's really a very nice mixture out of a bit of heritage, but loads of modern stuff. And I think together that's the new G-Class. Another thing aside to the comfort of the car is the new G-Class is a lot more quiet at the interior than its predecessor. So now we're going on gravel grounds with a G63 to see how much fun you're going to have with that car on that surface. So now we're in Sport Plus mode, and I really have to say that's absolutely great fun, pure pleasure to drive. So next to me is again Jan Gleitzmann. As he said, he's a Mercedes fanboy, but Jan drove a different car than I did because he's driving the G500. So Jan, what do you think about that car?
I'm a Mercedes-Benz fanboy, and the G-Class is my favorite Mercedes. So the G-Wagon itself is just perfect, and I was very scared when they announced new generation. I was thinking, oh well, another SUV, you know, oh please. But I'm so pleased what they did with the car. Just everything, the whole package is just perfect, and I'm very happy.
That car starts at a bit more than 107,000 euros in Germany. Do you think it's worth the money?
Well, my heart is bleeding because I would love to take the car just the way home. But this car, right, like I drove it, 150,000 euros. It's just not affordable for a little YouTuber guy like me. But you have to consider that it's very stable in its price. If you look for used cars, they're still very, very pricey or expensive, or however you want to put it. And so it's sort of an invest if you buy one, I guess.
Okay. How about the drive? What is your favorite regarding to the drive of the car?
Well, I'm very, very pleased what they did with the suspension, the new suspension. To be honest, I love the old G-Wagons as well, generation for generation, and the last one was already pretty good. But now with the new suspension setup, and especially with the adaptive suspension setup, it's so much easier to drive on the streets, and you can enjoy it much more. With the different driving programs, like when you drive in sport, you can even, you know, corner on curvy mountain roads without, you know, losing your heart. It's really amazing what they did with the suspension. I'm very pleased.
And do you think, is this still a real G-Class?
Oh, of course it is.
Driven G-Wagons now for 25 years. So I love this car. This is my favorite SUV.
A real loyal customer, absolutely. So thank you very much for joining us. And throughout your career, obviously, you have been in many different roles, mastered them all, from Conan, Terminator, you just mentioned, governor, not the least of all. And you always were successful, even when it was in difficult terrain. So you really know what we are talking about here. What for you makes an automotive icon?
Well, I think it's a very good question, because I think what is unique about this G-Wagon is, as you said, it was born in Graz, Austria, where I was born, except 32 years later. But little did I know that when I started getting into bodybuilding and building the best body, at the same time, G-Wagon became the best built SUV. Then I started getting interested in becoming more powerful. All of a sudden, the G-Wagon I saw becoming more powerful. Then I was getting more muscular. The G-Wagon got more muscular. Then I wanted to get faster. Then the G-Wagon got more fast. So it was unbelievable. So basically what we're talking about here is the true twins. Think about that.
Absolutely,
The two-
absolutely.
the
I
two
think
twins.
about
But-
that.
But here is the most amazing thing, Dieter, that I try to prove how I can go from one part to another, how I can go from bodybuilding to show business, and how I can go from show business to politics effortlessly. And then at the same time, this happened here with the G-Wagon again. It can go from snow to mud effortlessly. It can go from the freeway to off-road effortlessly. It can go right in front of a movie premiere. I pulled out with this G-Wagon a movie premiere, and it looks like an elegant limousine effortlessly. This SUV can do anything and everything, and this is why I love this car.
But now I have something, thank you very much for all of that, but of course, I have something which is different. This vehicle, we took through several facelifts. What did you to stay in shape? Is it schnitzel or is it sport?
Well, I tell you, sport is very important, but you never say to anyone in Hollywood, what did you do for your facelift? This is an absolute
Well,
no-no.
therefore I said this is the only different thing.
No, but I tell you that I think that you guys did a fantastic job, because I prayed that when you talk about redesigning the car and coming out with a new G-Wagon, that you don't touch the look of it. Because I think this car became so historic and such a great car, and it is loved by everyone around the world because of its look. The visual look, the boxy kind of a look is what is so attractive about the car. And so what you did was you improved the car now, and the inside is of course spectacular. I got a quick look at it in Beverly Hills. And the performance, and it's a more energy efficient, fuel efficient engine, and a more powerful engine. And everything has been improved, but the look is still fantastic. It has this boxy look, except it is now wider. 10
Absolutely.
centimeters wider, and I had much more leg space in the back.
Do you have any free time? Because we need a few more salesperson for our new G-Wagon. I think there's no better chance we can have than this one. But you're perfectly informed, that's exactly right. So clearly, we listened to you, we heard your prayers, or someone heard your prayers, and we followed suit. And exactly, even though that every single part is new, it looks just like the former one. And that's what was our objective.
Now, Dieter, I have a question for you.
Yes?
I think a lot of my friends, especially since I'm an environmentalist and I'm interested in the environment, and I think that eventually we have to get off fossil fuels. What is the future in fossil fuels, and does this G-Wagon eventually come out as an electric G-Wagon? Because I have one right now in Los Angeles, an electric G-Wagon, the first one in the world, and it drives fantastic. What is the future of that?
You know, last year we said publicly that we would change the entire Mercedes portfolio to having all electric drivetrains as well. And that clearly says, stay tuned.
So you will electrify the Mercedes.
We said the entire portfolio.
That's fantastic. Let's give him a big hand for that one. This is very important to the world, to the health of the world.
I agree totally with you on
Thank you.
that one.
And before we leave, Dieter, since you have stayed so much and lived so long in America, I saw you becoming more Americanized. I've seen you
probably
with
true.
jeans,
True?
which is not common with executives,
Nope.
of your level especially. And then I've seen you many times in cowboy boots.
Tonight it was too cold here for cowboy. These are better isolated.
It's okay, I have my cowboy boots on, so don't worry about it.
You're not such
But-
a wimp that I am.
But I have a gift for you here,
A gift?
which is very important that makes then the complete cowboy out of you. Let's have the gift.
Wow.
First of all, let's have mine right here, cowboy hat, and here's your cowboy hat.
Wow. And it fits.
So look at
Wow,
this now.
that is great. Most impressive. It's perfectly well.
G-Wagon here.
I really
Guys.
very much appreciate that. This is a great idea, and I'm really going to the hotel right afterwards and get my boots.
Aber ganz schnell.
Absolutely. Ich werde rennen. Okay. Well, Arnold, thanks again for very much for all you have contributed here. This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate. I would very much like to follow an old tradition, and I guess you know that. It's from Mount Schöckel. Whoever masters this downhill ride, which is really tough, is awarded with a G-strong Austrian drink, Sirbenschnaps. I don't even think there's a proper translation for Sirbenschnaps. But Arnold, you certainly know what this means and what I'm talking about. So anyways, cheers to the new G-Class. And cheers to the team who brought it to life. Thank you very much.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers.
With pleasure.
Cheers to G-Wagon.
That was my review with the brand new G-Class, or let's say it correctly, with the brand new Mercedes-Benz AMG G63. What I really like with that car is that Mercedes made it happen to create a completely new car, but it still looks the same. Absolutely amazing. But more important is we have loads of new technology on board. We have a brand new infotainment system. We do have a completely new suspension, completely new frame. The whole car is completely new and absolutely up to date. And what I do like the most is, of course, I do feel safe and I do have enough space in that car, which didn't work with the old one. The question now is, does somebody need the G-Class, or let's say, does somebody need the Mercedes-Benz G63 G-Class? I'm sure nobody needs the car, but on the other hand, I'm 100% sure everybody wants one.